Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here, my first Atak Sportz for 2016 on this Monday, January the 4th of this year. Hope everyone had a happy and safe New Year's Eve and a great weekend. We head towards the final weekend of the NFL regular season that happened yesterday, Week 17 results and thoughts to kick off this first edition of Atak Sportz of the new year. Let's get down to the NFC games. First things first. Let's get to the least important NFC games that had no playoff implications whatsoever. That, of course, included the Detroit Lions after the up-and-down season. Ended the season with a win. 24-20 over the Chicago Bears. They almost blew the lead. I kind of slept in a little bit, so I didn't watch the entire Bears-Lions game. Because it was the least important game. Plus, the TV listing was wrong. The TV listing, some said the Lions was on. Other TV guides said the Panthers game was on, which it wasn't. They changed the time. But we didn't get the game. Okay. But Lions, up and down season, they had an okay game. It's kind of interesting. They played the best games in the last couple weeks against the Saints, against the 49ers, and against the Bears. Where was this in September? Where was it in September, people? When it comes to the coaching job, Jim Caldwell is still up for grabs right now. Martha Ford says it depends on the new GM. Well, we have no GM yet, which I think they're interviewing right now for the job for the GM. By the way, I'll get my thoughts on some of the coaching firings in a second, but I'll get to the results first. So, Lions won their game, and also the NFC. New York Giants lost in what is now Tom Coughlin's final game as a Giants coach, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, who also had a sucky season, 35-30. And also the Saints beat Falcons. Falcons had a rough second half after a great first half. So let's hope they have a more aggressive season next season and have a greater second half than they did this year. Let's get to the NFC games that had playoff implications. First things first, who was going to be the number one seed in the NFC? Carolina Panthers or Arizona Cardinals? Well, Panthers, following their first loss of the regular season, losing to the Falcons, they recovered big time. 4 touchdowns from Mr. Cam Newton, including some rushing touchdowns, leading his team to a 38-10 victory, ensuring Panthers home field advantage for the playoffs and the number one seed in the NFC. They only got the first round bye, of course. That means no matter what, Arizona, even if they won, they would not be number one, which they did not win. The same team that destroyed the Green Bay Packers in their worst showing of the regular season, they got pummeled. Little comma, as the Seattle Seahawks pummeled the Arizona Cardinals 36-6. Lockett. Tyler Lockett was the MVP of the game. His punt returns were huge. He had huge punt returns, setting up great field positioning for the Seahawks to get most of their touchdowns. Schumann around the defense, and so did the defense, was strong against the Cardinals at Seattle's enemy home. They were announced here they were in Arizona. It was the first time that Seattle was in the stadium that was the host of the Super Bowl back in February, where they had their infamous interception. They avenged that last loss in that building, and also avenged their loss against Arizona in their own building earlier this year by beating Arizona, like I said, pummeling them 36-6. Big victory for the Seahawks. They're, of course, in wildcard contention. And, of course, the other big NFC game, following their pummeling from Seattle, Green Bay were going to try to rebound as they took on the Vikings in the NFC North title game. I thought it was going to be that. It ended up being that. First half, kind of a slow first half. Mostly field goals, with the Vikings leading 6-3 at the half. However, starting the third quarter, things started to unravel, but the fourth quarter was like the exciting quarter of the game, with finally a touchdown by the Packers following various opportunities, and they were rallying that fourth quarter. They tried their best to come back, and they have so many opportunities. There was a turnover they didn't take advantage of. There was even a fake punt return from the Vikings. And it was also a cool move when Vikings did have a big return. And that was the turnover, the big turnover they had. Where Vikings had a big punt return, but then Mason Crosby, of all people, fumbled it and caused the recovery from Green Bay. They came back and they almost got it. Came down in the final seconds of the game. Green Bay had the ball. It was 20-13, and they were trying their best to. And I think Aaron got picked off in the end zone. That was like the end of it when he got picked up in the end zone. That was the end of it. Despite a last-minute rally from the Packers, that rally was too little, too late. As they go into the NFC playoffs with little momentum, as the Minnesota Vikings won their first division title since 2009, and the first time in years we have a NFC North champion. It's not the Green Bay Packers. The dominance in the NFC North is over. We'll see how they do in the playoffs, especially on who they face. AFC-wise, in their playoff potential, well, it went all topsy-turvy. Especially the number 1 seed was flipped over following a loss against the Jets in a very controversial decision to not get the kickoff in overtime, which I heard various reports they were trying to not face the Steelers in the playoffs. They got pummeled by the Dolphins of all teams, losing 20-10. The Pats, who were one of the hottest teams in AFC, goes in their playoffs with not a lot of momentum on the side after losing to the Jets and the Dolphins. And we have a new number 1 seed. The Broncos, who've had an up and down season. With Brock Osweiler losing the last couple games. It felt that way again. Broncos almost out of the playoffs following a loss last week to the Steelers after they blew a lead. And it almost happened again. He got turned over 3 times. So then he comes for the first time as a backup. Some backup by the name of Peyton Manning, who hasn't been on the field since November. And he saved not only this team, but saved the season for the Broncos as he had a great showing, a 10-0-1 in the third quarter. So great touchdowns, a great comeback for Peyton, leading his team to victory and giving the Broncos the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's intriguing. Pats are going down, man. Pats were the most formidable team. Now, Broncos got momentum on the side. Who's the quarterback? That's going to be questioned. Gary Kubiak did not have an answer yet, but they have a few weeks. Because the Broncos do have a first round bye. Because they are the number 1 seed. Other AFC action, the Steelers got in the playoffs thanks to the Bills beating the Jets for the final wildcard slot. It was between the Jets and the Steelers. Jets lost their game. Steelers won their game. So the Steelers are in and Browns are going down. Of course, coaches and GM, all that stuff. Bengals won their game against Ravens. Of course, get prepared for that playoff game. And the Chiefs, who went from a sucky team to a big team, winning 10 in a row, winning against Oakland Raiders in what would be Charles Woodson's final game. Good luck to you, man. Former Packer, who won the Super Bowl with the Packers a couple of years ago. So now on to the playoff picture. Of course, the schedule goes like this. This Saturday night, it's the AFC wildcard games, with the Chiefs and the Texans kicking us off at 4 o'clock on ESPN, followed by the Steelers and the Bengals on CBS at 8. The NFC wildcard will be Sunday. Seahawks against the Vikings will kick us off at 1, while Packers and the Redskins will be at 4:40 on Sunday as well. Of course, the divisional games. The 16th, the Pats will take on the highest seed. And Cardinals will take on the highest seed. That will be the Saturday games on the 16th. 17 games. The Carolina Panthers against the lowest seed. And of course, lowest seed for the Denver. Of who wins the wild card games. Championship Sunday is the 24th. Royal Rumble Sunday. The Super Bowl is Sunday the 7th. Now, my predictions for the wild card games. AFC. Predictions. Chiefs. Steelers. Bengals have not won a playoff game ever. Andy Dalton's going to try to silence an naysayers. He's got a thumb injury, but he's hopeful and optimistic he'll play, but I still think the curse will continue for the Bengals. They have a decent team, but Steelers have been a rough team. They've been up and down season with Ben's injuries, but they look like a nasty-ass team to beat. So I think they'll be the ones to look for in the wild card picture. So that's my prediction for AFC wild card, Chiefs, and the Steelers. Ironically, the away teams. The 10th, the NFC games. My predictions. I'm once again going with the away teams. On this one, Seattle, Green Bay. Seahawks are hopeful to have Marshawn Lynch back. He's back practicing with them today. So it's likely he'll be back this Sunday to play in the playoff game against the Vikings. Despite an up and down season for Green Bay, I think they have more arsenal than the Redskins do. I haven't seen Redskins on because they're never on here in Detroit. And I don't have DirecTV. So I don't know what the Redskins are doing this year. I don't know, they've had an up and down year because the NFC East is like the worst division. So it's like the best of the worst, basically. Like the NFC South was last year. So I still think the Packers, despite the last couple losses, they'll probably pull it out against Washington. Should be an easy win for them. They don't blow it. So that's my predictions for the wild cards. Chiefs, Steelers, AFC, Seahawks, and Packers. Ironically, the same teams that faced up for the championship game last year for my predictions in the wild card. Now, of course, with the day after the regular season upon us, it's Black Monday. It only started last week when the Eagles fired Chip Kelly. In the last 24 hours, a lot of teams fired coaches and GMs, especially in the case of the Cleveland Browns, who fired Mike Pettine and Ray Fulmer, the second laughing stock in the NFL besides the Lions, have fired their 8th coach in 4 years. And I think Johnny Manziel might be going out too. Bye-bye, drunkie. Going to Dallas. Get fucked up there. Also getting fired, GM Tom Sula. After only 1 year. It was a transition year already for the 49ers. And I can believe after only 1 season, he got fired after a sucky-ass season which involved injury reserve for Colin Kaepernick and having a rough season and being benched to his backup, who did decent. Even Jim Harbaugh lamented the decision to fire Tim Sula by saying, "You will reap what you sow," last night on Twitter. So he's not happy about 49ers after only 1 year firing Jim Tom Sula. A lot of candidates for that job. I'm hearing rumors of Chip Kelly maybe going for Detroit. Detroit hasn't not made a decision concerning Jim Caldwell yet. Also, Tom Coughlin goes out in peace with the New York Giants. I mentioned that a little bit by him leaving on peaceful terms. After a couple sucky-ass seasons, he has nothing to be ashamed of. He has 2 Super Bowl rings, and he's not considered retired. He may go to another team. Maybe he'll coach may not be interesting coaches 49ers or even Lions. There's a lot of moves about Giants even getting Sean Payton from the Saints. He's likely on the chopping block as well. A lot of decisions on coaches is not determined yet, including the Colts, and a decision on Chuck Pagano, who's likely out. But Conklin released a statement saying it's been an honor and a privilege to be the head coach of the New York Giants. This is not a sad occasion. I have spent 15 years with this organization and head coach and fun to be part of 3 Super Bowl winning teams. I said 2, but I forgot the 3rd. A Lombardi Trophy every 5 years is an achievement in which we all take great pride. Obviously, the past 3 years have not been what any of us expect and as head coach, I accept the responsibility. I thank my family and everybody's family for everything. None of this would be possible without their unconditional love and support. Best wishes to you, Mr. Tom Coughlin. I'm not the biggest Giants fan in the world, but he is and was an excellent coach for them. He's led them many Super Bowls. You gotta respect that. Even if you're not a Giant, like I said, if you're not a Giants fan, you gotta respect Tom Coughlin. He's a classy guy in this league. So whether or not he coaches again for another team, it'd be weird to see him coach for another team. Because he was as part of the Giants organization as Eli Manning has been. Eli Manning's stunned by it too. He's sad to see Mr. Conklin go. We'll see what his future holds when it comes to any other teams. So there you go with that. So many coaching and GM firings on this Black Monday. And it's not done yet. A lot of decisions on, like I said, other coaches have not been determined yet. So probably as I'm done making this video, probably be more findings and more everything after I make this video. So there you go. Now, on with some MMA news. Well, of course, UFC happened on Saturday. First one of the year. Of course, my review of that UFC 195 review was just saved by the main event. A classic and debatable main event between Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit is on my channel. But another MMA took place on New Year's Eve weekend, which was Rizin, the first annual event for them, which coverage of the 2-day event, highlights from the 2 days, were on Spike TV in America. And I liked it. It was a little bit more exciting than UFC. I'm sorry. Rizin was a little bit better. It was more exciting. Had more exciting fights besides main event. Like a UFC card. Because the highlights of the Rizin card involved the heavyweight Grand Prix final with King Mo looking good in the rounds. Like his first fight, his semifinal fight against Teodoros was an okay fight. But his fight against Juri Prochazka, he just knocked him out. Nasty knockout. Big punch in that round, winning the Grand Prix there. And also, Lady Tapa from TNA was involved in the match, but she lost. And of course, one of the biggest talks of that Rizin card was the return of Fedor. His first fight in MMA in 3 years. And it was a submission by punches in the first couple minutes of round one. And he looked good. I've never seen Fedor before. Because I've heard the name, you know, but I've never seen him much. I saw him for the first time. He looked like a beast out there. I might have seen him before, but maybe corrected later. But as of right now, I haven't seen him. I've heard the name. And he does not beat the crap out of the guy. And he's got his next match signed for April. Who knows if it'll air on Spike TV or not, but it's likely because they have a little bit of an agreement with Spike TV when it comes to airing Rizin in America. And a lot of people have Pride. I didn't watch Pride. I was always in the UFC, but never watched Pride because Pride was probably done by the time I started watching UFC in like 2007 or 8. But I've heard of Pride, and it kind of reminded people of Pride. And it looked kind of cool. It was cool. It was a cool event watching it. I don't know, it was a highlight of 2 days on the American channels, but it was still cool to watch it. And I hope to see another one. Now on to my WWE Raw preview for tonight, the first Raw of the year. Following a decent Raw last week, took a lot of steps forward and a couple steps back. See what they do tonight. Especially SmackDown this week, the first one on USA Network, newly revised with, of course, the guy from New Japan commentating on SmackDown. He should come in NXT instead. After that. Top 4 questions must be answered tonight. Question 4. Would have another great Divas match in more time. And hopefully the crowd won't be bored with it. I loved the match last week between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. A little bit of nitpicking with the crowd being bored by it in a great last couple minutes. But they had a great showing, had more time and effort. But make it a little bit more exciting. I said it wasn't as good as the NXT matches, but it was still on the right step. Hopefully they take that step forward when it comes to building the Divas division on the main roster more. Really showing off Sasha Banks' assets. And please split her up from Team Bad. I'm sorry. She needs to be her own entity. She needs to split from Team Bad. So trying to be like New Day, but they ain't trying. New Day rocks. I don't know why some people can think they're annoying, but I'm a big New Day fan now they found their identity as comedic, violent heels. Despite the little losing streak lately. And they're tag champs, so there you go. So see if the Divas get more time tonight, like they did last week. See how they do. Question number 3. Will Cena get a rematch against WWE tonight or at the Rumble? Of course, we saw Cena return last week to challenge up at the wheel, goading him into a U.S. title match, which, of course, ended with interference from the League of Nations, which sparked Roman Reigns getting involved. So I think Cena WWE will probably have a rematch. I don't think it should be on Raw tonight. It should be at the Rumble. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of the Rumble, question number 2. Any matches or participants being announced tonight for the Rumble? Now, Big Show's the first participant now. There's a little bit of clarification. He's not the number 1 entrant. He said he was the number one entrant. There was a little bit of confusion. He's not the first entrant in the Rumble. He's the first entrant announced for the Rumble. He's not the first guy to enter the Rumble match. He's the first guy. You know, this is why it gets confusing. He's the first guy that's on the roster that's going to be in the Rumble, not the first guy entering it. Like, he didn't draw number one. He's not the number one entry. There you go. Clarification solved. I have a bonus question. I got a bonus question before we get to number one. Bonus question. Will the first WWE Hall of Fame be announced tonight? Now, of course, the Hall of Fame tickets are going on sale soon. There's even rumors that Vader might be going in. Vader posted a cryptic photo on his Twitter page, posting a WWE Hall of Fame logo. Could it be sign that it's time? It's time. It's Vader Hall of Fame time. We'll see if he does get in. Of course, it's in Texas. Hopefully the Freebirds get in this year. Come on, Michael Hayes. Finally get in. And finally, question number one. We'll go down in a title match tonight between Sheamus and Roman Reigns with Vince as your referee. Of course, I applauded the efforts in Philly. It was genuine booking and genuine sympathy for Reigns. It wasn't forced when he won the title from Sheamus in Philly. The same place got booed at the Rumble. Of course, last week he attacked Sheamus during his interference of the Cena match with Vince McMahon, who got arrested. And a little silliness. That was the only thing that was one of many things that took Walt, that took him a few steps back last week, despite the sucky ass second hour and third hour to the main event. Because after the New Day segments in the second hour, it went downhill to the main event. That Miz TV, the Ryback Big Show, so it kind of went down to that. That's why I said it took a few steps back. So Vince came out from bail, and he said he was going to make a match between Sheamus and Reigns for tonight, and he'll be the referee. Some screwy's going to happen, whether it's Vince screws Reigns, or somebody else helps screws Vince McMahon. Some screwy. I smell some screwy tonight on Monday Night Raw and anytime Central on USA Network. That is it for Atak Sportz for today. Very likely Atak Sportz. See you later tonight on this channel for my Raw review. That mind, you've been attacked by the first sports news of the year from Zach. See you later, yeah.